Hey, Knolly Williams here, the business healer. Now, in this video, Shannon Pyatt, good buddy of mine, put me in the hot seat and he interviewed me about how I was able to grow my revenue share organization and how you're able to grow yours. I really want to encourage you to grow, to build. The incredible opportunity that we have here at EXP is phenomenal. When you talk about building your group to 50, 100, 200, 300 or more, this is the video that you want to watch because in this video I share with you some strategies on how I was able to do it my first few years here at EXP. And this thing basically created and affords my entire lifestyle. So my wife and I recently bought a property here in Puerto Rico. We bought two vehicles and other things that we purchased when we moved to the island, and everything is completely paid for through our EXP revenue share. So, and not only that, we are helping agents succeed at a high level. So if you want to grow your revenue share, this is the video for you. All right, God bless. Thanks for watching and give it a look.
All right. Hey, everybody, and welcome. Man, oh man, Team Trailblazers, we are so privileged and so blessed to have not just an amazing human being on the line, not just an amazing recruiter on the line, but a guy that I consider one of my really close friends. Man, love you so much, brother. Mr. Knolly Williams. Knolly, how are you, brother?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. And I love you too, brother. This is from the heart. I think since we first met, we just hit it off.
Yep.
You're a very genuine person and so am I. And you love helping people. So I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, man. I can't tell you how much. So Knolly, tell us a little bit about how you got to where you're at today. How long have you been with EXP? What's that road look like? Obviously, look at that background back there, man. You're in Puerto Rico, baby. Come on. Here we are in long sleeves, trying to stay warm, and Nolly's down here in Puerto Rico. So
yeah.
It took some hard work to get there, but you did it. So tell us a little bit about that.
It really is a blessing when I was first approached by a good friend of mine about EXP. Fred Weaver and of course Kevin Kaufman shared the opportunity with me, but I really didn't want to see it, man. I didn't want to know about it. I didn't want to hear about it. I had zero interest in learning about EXP. And the fact of the matter is, going back on my story, so I got into real estate almost 20 years ago. Actually, this upcoming year will be my 20th anniversary in the business. And I came from a very successful business that failed. Okay. When I was 29 years old, I was making $150,000 a month in my former business. And I was living the dream. I had 10 acres. I had a 6,000 square foot home, which I purchased when I was 26 years old. And I was making really good money. I made my first million by the time I was 29 that year. Actually made $2 million that year, became a millionaire at 29. And by the time I was 33, I lost everything, lost it all. And I wouldn't, huh?
Your music career, what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, the music business. I was in the Christian music business. And it's kind of similar to now, man. What happened was the industry changed and I didn't know how to shift with the market. Okay. And, if you want to stay alive, you got to learn how to shift with the market. But I didn't know how, and I think I was kind of burnt out too. So I was like, okay, what's next for me? Real estate was the thing. I got into listings from the very beginning. My first, you probably don't know this, Shannon, but my very first transaction was a listing, but you probably figured that. But not only was it a listing, but it was 100%, okay, 100% in Spanish, my first listing presentation. And I got the listing. As bad as my Spanish was, I knew enough to say what I needed to say.
Take out the Google.
And yeah. Well, back then, my mother-in-law lived with us for 23 years, and she couldn't put 5 words together in English. So I learned Spanish. It's like mother-in-law lives with you. You gotta, and you want to, earn her respect. She wasn't going to meet me where I was, so I had to meet her. But when I got into real estate, I took the listings right away. Boom, boom, boom. Started doing listings. I took a ton of listings. My first 10 years, I did over 1,000 listings. And but what I learned when I started with Remax, loved Remax, was never going to leave. Then I was recruited to Keller Williams by Gary Keller. Sat down with him we sat down for over 2 hours, one-on-one. It just so happened that, that year that he recruited me into Keller Williams, I was the number 7 agent in Austin, Texas, out of almost 10,000 agents that year, is 9,800 agents. My production was ranked number 7 by Austin Business Journal. And that caught Gary's attention. We lived in the same town, Austin, Texas. And he invited me to meet with him. And so I told my wife, I said, should I meet with Gary? She was like, you're going to go meet with Gary. I said, he's just going to try to recruit me. I don't really want to go to Keller Williams. I love Remax. And she said, you're going to go meet with him. And so that's what I did. Josie.
Do it.
Yeah, Josie. So we hit it off, man. And the point of that story is that he asked me, he says, where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? And this is what I want to ask you. You're listening right now. Where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? And I thought about it. It didn't take me long, not a couple of seconds. I said, Gary, I'm going to be giving back, paying it forward, teaching and coaching. That's what I want to do in 3 to 5 years. And he wrote it down on this, he had this big pad that he was writing all the notes and stuff from our meeting. And he said, why wouldn't you just do that today? In typical Gary fashion. And I was like, like how? Like that just sounds dumb to me, right? That's 3 to 5 years out. He said, if you join us, you could be doing that tomorrow. I said, you mean I could be, because I have a heart of a teacher. You're the same way, Shannon. I mean, if all you could do is teach and help people, that's all, that's it, forget about production.
It's about, what your legacy is, man. It's all legacy.
Sure. Absolutely. And I was putting 10 to 15 deals a month in escrow. Okay. And the money was really, really, really good. And it is good. It's good money. But it just wasn't fulfilling. I like teaching. I'm a teacher. That's what I am. And so I joined Keller Williams because he immediately gave me the platform, the opportunity to become a coach. And I was there for 10 years. And so because of that, I never had an inkling to do. That was it. That was life. That I was going to ride or die. I was Keller Williams for life. I'm KW, Knolly Williams. That's my name. My initials are KW. So it was for life, man. I had zero interest in EXP because I could reach out to Gary anytime I wanted to, and I had an inside track to him. And so that was going to be my life. And so I never was willing to look at the opportunity. Okay. Until finally, Fred Weaver, he got me to actually look at it, man. And that's what, you can't unsee it, right? And this is the biggest issue that we have from a recruiting standpoint, is just getting people to slow down long enough to look at the opportunity. And you and I know, Shannon, even though your agent attraction business might look like it's slowing down, the reality is over the next 4 to 6 weeks, or maybe even 8 weeks, you'll never have a better time to attract than now, because people are naturally going to be slowing down. The market has slowed down. The holidays has slowed things down. People are shifting their focus, and a lot of changes in the air. People are going to start looking at their options. They're making their goals. They're making their plans. And so I think it's a really good time. Anyway, so I looked at the opportunity, man, and I still remember where I was when I sat down on my easy chair and actually looked at EXP for the first time. Okay. I looked at the Brent Gove 30-minute presentation, and I just remember that feeling, man, that I had after I learned about this model. Like, this is what I had been looking for my entire life. I just didn't know that that's what I was looking for. And it fulfilled a deep-seated need in my business, Shannon, that I didn't even know I had. And the need was, I wanted to be able to do teaching, training, and coaching for free. Like I didn't want to have to charge for my services, but I could never figure out the right model to allow that to occur. And so, man, I would come up with all kinds of schemes, dude. Like, okay, maybe I'll do this or I'll do that. I even thought about going nonprofit. I was like, man, if I just start a nonprofit, I can get sponsors, I can get donations, and then I can just teach, man, and do what's in my heart, But I like the lifestyle I live to. You know what I'm saying? I like money. I'm a follower of Christ. I love Jesus, but I like money too. I like having options. And I've been an entrepreneur since I was 12. Yeah. Yeah. What's that, Shannon?
I said Zig said it's a nice thing to have. It's not it's not a necessity of life, but it's a very nice thing to have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And C.S. Lewis said, money is a beautiful thing in the hand, but a terrible thing in the heart. Okay. So do you have money or does money have you? There's a difference. But I like having options. I like having nice things. And there were many millionaires and billionaires in the Bible. We know that from history. So it was kind of this thing like, okay, I love to help people and teach. It just fulfills this need. But how can I fund it? Like, how can I maintain the lifestyle? And when I saw EXP, it was like, man, this is a no-brainer. Like, you mean I can teach, train, coach, help others, and EXP will pay me? That's like, but I still wrestled with it for 100 days. I did all the research just because of my personality profile. I'm high on the CS scale, on the DISC profile. I wrestled with it for 100 days. But I knew in my heart of hearts that I was out of integrity to stay where I was. Okay. I was out of integrity with my family. I was out of integrity, with my mission to continue where I was. I was being non-integrous because I could have stayed where I was, but knowing what I knew about this other model, this other opportunity, I would have been out of integrity. So I did switch. It's almost been 4 years, man. January 2019, and the thing is, this model has afforded me the ability to do exactly what I want to do, how I want to do it. Years ago, we paid off our mortgage, we went debt free. But when we did that, I thought, man, all my problems are solved, Shannon. I don't have no mortgage payment. I'm good, man. But then I realized that, wait a minute, I have recurring bills. That means I still got to hustle. I still got to get out there and do it, But now with revenue share, man, with this opportunity, it's just, the options are just beyond description. And there's 3 different kinds of freedom when you start to focus on revenue share. And I'm going to bounce the ball to you with this, back to you. I'm going to hand the mic back to you, Shannon. But there's 3 different kinds of freedom that you have when you make revenue share your number one focus. Number one, you have financial freedom. Okay. Financial freedom. I actually looked up the numbers. You could do the research on it. If I worked for a company, get this, Shannon, think about this for a minute. If I worked for a company for 30 years, okay, you can't hardly do that anymore. That was a dream of the 1980s and 1970s. That doesn't really exist anymore. But let's say if it was true that I worked for a company for 30 years and they paid me $250,000 a year, okay, for that tenure, for that time. And let's say that I had a pension from that company. Okay. After 30 years, dude, of making $250,000 a year salary. What would that pension look like? Now you can go online and there's pension calculators that would tell you exactly what that number is. Well, I make easily 2 to 3 times that number in revenue share after just 2 years of working with EXP. My revenue share was 2 to 3 times what a pension would be after working for a company for 30 years, giving my heart and soul to them. So the opportunity is just, it's beyond description. So there's financial freedom. There's time freedom. Now, man, my schedule is whatever I want it to be. I can set my hours, what I want to do. I work typically about 3 hours a day. Sometimes, some days I work less, like today. and then location freedom. Okay. I can be in Spain next week. I could be here in Puerto Rico this week. I can be in Austin in 2 weeks, like I will be. I could be anywhere. And so this is what I call ultimate freedom. When you have financial freedom, time freedom, and location freedom, you've just solved all your problems. And so it's a beautiful thing, bro. It's beautiful.
That's incredible.
I love it.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So what's your organization looking like now? I know I'm pretty sure you've got a few hundred now, right? I think it's close to, is it 300 or so? What's your total organization look like?
Well, it changes every day. You know how that goes, Shannon. Sometimes it's up and sometimes it's down. You know, this month is down.
Get it.
So I'm a little over three. We had 323 as I checked this morning. So, but the reality is you don't even need that many. And when you look at, a lot of people haven't really looked at, like, how many people does it really take that you actually personally have to attract to build your group? It's not that many, you know, and I say focus on 25, get 25 on your front line, you know, and then once you have your organization over about 100 people, maybe 125, you know, the thing just kind of has a life of its own. It's an organism. Okay. So for example, if I was, for whatever reason, if I was incapacitated and if I went into a coma for a year, it's not going to happen. But if it did, my group, when I woke up a year from now, my group would be bigger and I would still be making a crap ton of money, you know, every single month. My wife would be spending it, you know. But yeah, so that's where it's at today.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, you know, my situation in 2020 and part of 2021. I mean, I was in hospitals, man. I had surgeries.
Yes,
I
sir.
couldn't sell a house, and revenue share is what kept me going, right? And
Yep.
I wasn't even planning on living on revenue share. I was planning on selling 50 homes that year, right?
Sure.
But you know, but I was forced to do that. And
right.
You said, man, you know, if we go back to Robert Kiyosaki, right? I like to go back to Robert Kiyosaki because he's dead on. He said, look, you know, you're always over here in this left quadrant, right? If you're trading for money, no matter what it is, even selling real estate, because you're still buying time for money. Now, I'm not saying not to say still real estate. That's
right. Of course.
But you know, you're trading time for money. But if you can go to bed at night and you can wake up the next morning and you've made more money, you're an entrepreneur, right? You're in the right hand side, right? And if you take a year off and your business has grown, like what you're talking about, right? Something happens, some catastrophe happens or whatever, you know, and a year later, you've got this, you know, you've got this steady income. You know, people don't think about this, and people see big numbers. People see, you know, what Brent's making and what, you know, Jay Kinder's making and all these guys, right? But you know, here's the thing: $3,000 to $5,000 a month coming in consistently.
That's it.
Change your life.
That's it. That's it. Yeah.
It can change your life, because if you think about it, most people's mortgage and their car payments and their bills that they have to pay every month are going to fit in that $3,000 to $5,000 range, roughly, depending upon how much they're spending, obviously. But I'm just saying, on average, right? If you're living you know, not above your means or anything, you know, then you're looking at those three things right there, or those three items of your life that are covered. And then what?
Absolutely.
Real estate, that's gravy, right? You can reinvest that. There's a lot of different things that you can do. And like Knolly said, you can have time freedom, you can have financial freedom, you can have location freedom. Location freedom is huge, right? I mean, it really is, to be able to not be tied to your phone 24/7 or tied to your computer 24/7. So you build a team of 300 people, for over 300 people, man, that's incredible. Tell us about that journey. What did you do to do that? We'd love to hear that.
Well, you know, what I'm learning is it really is about, you know, it's about providing value, man. I mean, there's a book called The Secret to Permanent Prosperity that it was the first book that Gary gave me to read when we first met. And it's a really good book. It's by Mike Hernacki. It's called the Secret to Permanent Prosperity, not just temporary prosperity, but permanent prosperity. And, you know, I don't want to give away the punchline, but the bottom line is providing value, you know. And this is what Jim Rohn said. He said, you get paid in direct proportion to the perceived value that you bring to the marketplace. Okay, that's what he said. You get paid in direct proportion to the perceived value that you bring to the marketplace. And so how do you make more money? You make more money by creating more perception of value. You basically you make more money by becoming more valuable. Okay. And so the question is, how can you become valuable to the agents in your world? Okay, around you. And we talk about this concept of, becoming more valuable to the agents around you than their own broker. Okay, where you help them, you meet at a coffee shop, answer their questions, have a Q&A once a month or once a week, where you just invite agents to ask questions. If you've got any kind of track record, then you're in a position to help other people. Okay, if you've been in the business for a year, guess what? There's somebody that's been in for 6 months. If you're been in the business for 3 years, guess what? There's somebody that's only been in for a year. And there are things that you can help them with that that they need help with. And so I just say, create value, provide value. Here's what sales is. Who wants a very simple explanation of sales? Okay. Yeah. And, I've been selling since I was 12 years old. Okay. Even though I was the shyest kid in school, I was an introvert. I still am, by the way. Can't get away from that. But I was the shyest kid in school. I started at the age of 12, door knocking. Okay. And selling stuff, whatever I could sell. And I've actually been an entrepreneur. I've only worked for myself. This upcoming year will celebrate 30 years since I last received a W-2. Okay. 30 years. So I had to make it, my first year of marriage, I've been married almost 31 years. I quit my job and I started working for myself, and it's been that way. So the definition of sales is this, very simple. Find out what people want and make it easy for them to get it.
Yep.
That's all it is. Find out what people want or need and make it easy for them to get it. That's what sales is. So it's just as simple as finding out what is it that other agents want, because the reality is most agents do not want to join EXP. They don't. They just don't want to do that. And so, what I teach is that, you attract them to yourself first, and then they become attracted to EXP. Like, well, what is EXP? What's it all about? Oh, would you like to look at it? Now, once they look at it, like I was talking to, and we all know this, they get that insomnia, right? We call it EXP insomnia. I was talking to a gal yesterday, and she was telling me that she's recruiting a guy, her, Tammy Manning. I was talking to Tammy Manning. She said she's talking to a guy right now, and he's a number such and such agent with another company, top agent. And he was like, oh crap, here you go with this EXP stuff. I don't want to hear about it. And she said, over time, she was able to gain his confidence by providing value to him. Okay. So he finally looked at it, and she can track how many times he watches the video, just like most of us can. You use, a CRM that can do that. And she said he watched it 6 times.
That's all.
She couldn't get him to watch it once, but once he watched it an additional 5 times over like 3 days. And now he's sold. He's coming on board. So, provide value. Find out what is it that agents want. Agents in your market. Do they want information? Do they want reassurance? Do they want hope? Do they want help? What do they want? What do they want? What do they need? Now, what I do, this is God's honest truth. What I do is I provide people what they want, and then I give them what they need. Because most people, see, what I teach is I teach entrepreneurs and business leaders and real estate agents how to make $250,000 or more a year working 3 hours a day or less. That's what I teach. Okay. But really the reality is, Shannon, most people just want to become millionaires. They want to make the millions. And I got to tell you, when I was 29 years old and I made over $1 million that year, over 2 million, and had everything, man, that you can imagine, 7 bedroom home, had I mean, it was nice. I had whatever you could ask for. I just wasn't fulfilled. Like I thought that I wanted the $1 million. And sure, you know, but the thing is, you could just become a miserable millionaire if you don't first find out, you know, what is it that brings you true and lasting happiness? What gets you excited? Like, who are you? Who are you to begin with? If you don't start, but see, most people don't care about that kind of stuff, Shannon. So I don't market it like, hey, I'm going to help you discover who you are so you can live a happy life. Man, I don't want to live happy. I want $1 million. So when I market myself, I say, hey, I'm going to teach you how to make your first million or teach you how to get to your first 6 figures in real estate. And let's do it in the next 6 months or 9 months. Okay. That's what they want. But along the way, I give them what they need. Okay. So you got to find out what they want and then make it easier for them to get it. It's that simple.
Well, you know, and I think it's really important for people to understand this. And guys, write what he says, write what he's saying down, where he says, you know, find out what they want and then give them what they need. So I have a philosophy, and my philosophy has always been this: it's prescription before diagnosis is malpractice. Prescription,
I like that.
diagnosis is malpractice. And if you think about that, you know, if you're trying to prescribe something to someone, you're trying to tell them they need revenue share, they need stock. They've never had that stuff. They don't know what they don't know. They don't know that they're missing those things, right?
Right.
They've never had that. They've never tasted that revenue share every month, right? So they don't know they need that. All you need to do is provide value to help them sell more homes. I think that's what Knolly's saying here.
That's right. That's right.
Help them be more successful, help them be able to provide better for their family. And then you can show them, hey, okay, well, now that you've done that, I can show you the time freedom. I can show you the financial freedom. I can show you the location freedom, right? So those are the things I think that if you're going to write anything down and take notes from today, I think what Knolly said right there is 100% on. You've got to find out what they want and then give them what they need. Right. So that's spot on, brother. Spot on. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And it's not really a bait and switch, because eventually, see, what happens is when you give them what they want and then you start to break it down for them, they're going to be like, wait a minute, but how do I do that? Oh, that's a better question. You know, Tony Robbins taught us, and many other teachers have taught us, that it's about asking the right questions. You know, when we ask better questions, we start to get this bigger picture. And the cool thing is, Shannon, this opportunity is an equal opportunity. It's for everybody. Okay. Because they might say, well, man, that's Shannon Pyatt. Okay. Of course he can attract a lot of people. Okay. That's Knolly Williams. Of course he can attract, you know, but what most people don't realize is that, you know, it wasn't that many years ago that nobody knew who I was. I remember one time, Shannon, I was at a conference because I was afraid to do video. Like right now, even what we're doing right now, I wouldn't do it. Okay. I was just scared. And so I went to this, I wanted to learn it and I wanted to get over that fear. So I went to a local event. A guy named Ken Renner was putting it on. And he was teaching you how to, you know, do social media, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. And I was well known in my market. And that's another thing I teach is you got to become famous. You have to. Oh, I don't want to become famous. I don't want to become well known. Okay. How would that have worked for Jesus? Oh, no, I don't want nobody. I gotta hide, you know. Well, the reality is people have to know who you are, because if they don't know who you are, you're not relevant. You're not relevant to them. You can have the best recipe in the world, but if I don't know about it, it's not even in my relevancy. So I was at that seminar, man, and I was trying to be incognito. Now I shouldn't have worn my hat. That was dumb, but I wore it. And Ken from stage, he was like, "That's Knolly Williams." And so everybody looks over at me. It was like, of course, I'm the only black cowboy there, right? And everybody looks at me. It was like, "Knolly, stand up." So I stood up. And he said, "How come you're not doing video?" He said it just like that. I mean, that's how I remember it. He called me out. And I made some half-ass excuse, dude. I was like, well, man, that's not really for me. You know, whatever I said, I played it off. I was like, man, video, I'm not sure where video is going to be in a few years. I'm not, I'm whatever. The bottom line, I was afraid. I was scared. That's the only reason I wasn't doing it. No other reason. I didn't like how I looked. I didn't like how I sounded on video. I didn't like what I had to say on video. I didn't have no content. I sucked. That was the reality, but I didn't say that. And so he said, man, you should be doing video. I don't understand why you're not doing video. So then they had a raffle, and they everybody threw their business card in, and for a video camera. Now that was before you could just use your phone. Everything I do, I have over 800 videos on YouTube, and all of them are done with my iPhone. Okay. So, but back then it wasn't like that. So he had a raffle, and guess who won the little cheesy video camera? I did. And so it was like a God wink, like God was like, okay, what's up now? What's your excuse? And so I started making crappy videos, dude, like the worst videos you've ever seen. I started just making video, boom, 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 boom. And pretty soon they sucked a little less and less. At first they sucked really, but eventually they sucked so little that they were sort of okay. And then they started getting a little better and better, right? And so it's just, the bottom line is, there's no excuse. You have right now in your life, you have what you have created for yourself. Okay. You have what you created for yourself. When God made us, he made us as little creators. He said, let us make man in our image. The word image is the word similitude in Genesis, the word similitude. You could also use the word facsimile. It says, let us make mankind in our facsimile. Okay. Male and female, he made them, patterned after himself. And so we are creators. We are little creators. And so this that I have didn't happen by circumstance or happenstance, or it didn't happen by luck or roll of the dice. I created this. Okay. I decided that Josie and I were going to live tropical. In fact, I drew out the house that I was going to live in. Okay. I want mountains on one side. I want an ocean view. I want this. I want that. I want that. I want that. Now, I didn't know how it was going to happen. EXP wasn't in the picture, but the reality is when you become purposeful, okay, instead of living by default, you're living on purpose. Are you living by default, or are you living your destiny? Okay, so when I started, and this is years ago, I started living on purpose, and I created it. So. Revenue share, getting in the revenue share game, you can use every excuse you want to. Oh, we're already built out. There's no more agents joining. Well, we're only at 80. So last I checked, we're at like 90,000, little under 90,000 agents, and we're growing to 1 million. Okay, let's cut that number in half. Let's say 500,000. Okay, 500,000. That means we're how many percent built out? About 16%. That means over 80% of the agents that are going to join the EXP are not even here yet. I was talking to Gene Frederick not long ago, and he told me, he said, Knolly, in 5 years, 5, 6, 7 years, 80-some% of all real estate will be done by individuals who don't even have their license yet. So the reality, man, the reality for you to jump in the game now, okay, like we know the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. Right. But we also know that the second best time to plant that tree is today. So if you could jump on the agent attraction bandwagon today and ramp it up, I mean, within 24 months, you should be able to, I say, retire. It took Brent 8 months. Okay. It might take you 24, 36, 48, 5 years. Who cares? And the thing is, it's not either or. Oh, but I got to focus on production. Yes, you do. I get that. It's not either or, it's both and more. Okay. Like not either or, it's both and more. So carve out about 5 hours a week to do agent attraction and stop taking your foot off the pedal. Every Friday, this is agent attraction day, according to Brent Gold. Every Friday, just dedicate 4 or 5 hours to attracting agents, listing agents instead of listing homes. And you'll have a rocking agent, like you'll have a rocking business. And here's another thing I want to address real quick. Shannon, because I hear a lot of people, oh, I'm not a recruiter. I'm not a recruiter. Well, let me address that for a minute. So I was at Keller Williams for 10 years, solid 10 years. I mean, solid. And I loved every minute of it. Paid Keller Williams over $250,000, tracked and accounted for. And I was happy to pay it. I would have paid more to be there. How many agents do you think I attracted in 10 years? Just guess. Put that number in your head. 10 years. Now, here in about 2.5 years, I attracted 160 to my front line. 160. Now, think about that's in 2.5 years. In 10 years, how many did I attract to Keller Williams? 7.
Wow.
7 agents in 10 years. I'm not even recruiting material. If I was a team leader at Keller Williams, I'd have been fired within months.
Very quickly.
Okay. So the reality is I'm not a recruit. Oh, I'm not a recruiter. Neither am I. Who cares? You think I let that stop me? Oh, I suck at recruiting. So look at the opportunity. I can suck. I don't care if I suck. I'm still going after it. And I'm gonna create this dream.
Well, I mean, it's just like a listing, right? If you think about it, people are, people say, oh, well, I'm a buyer's agent, right? I don't want to take listings. And then all of a sudden they go out and they take a listing. They're like, oh, that wasn't that hard, right? And then they go out and they take more and they take more and they take more, right? I was terrified to take listings.
That's it.
I was absolutely terrified to take listings. And then, my first year, I decided that I was going to go after listings. I did 37% by owners because I just went.
That's crazy.
Because I was relentless at that point, right? I was like,
sure.
I'm going to make this work, right? So,
wow.
So drop the excuses, and start. I think you would agree with this, Knolly. Start loving on people, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
I hear
it.
people saying, oh, well, you need to put out so much, video content, and they're gonna come to you, and that's great. That's fine, well and good. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I am saying that right now, yes, people are hearing about EXP. People have heard about EXP because people have told them about EXP. So here's what you got to do. You got to be the last man standing and providing the most value, just like a for-sale owner, right?
That's right. That's right.
Owner, what do? You go, you knock on their door, you tell them, hey, you know what? I'm going to do an open house for you. Here's some flyers. Here's this, and this, right? You provide value for them, and then you can stay in contact with them. And sooner or later, they go, hey, you know what? I'm giving up, man. I want to list the house, right? Same.
That's right.
The agent. If you're not providing value and you're not building that rapport, then there's some people in our company, and I won't name any names, but there's some people in our company that have done well, but have attracted the wrong people, and their people have grown really quick and then dropped really quick, right?
Sure.
And it's because they haven't provided that value, and I think that's what Knolly's talking about today is, you got to provide that value. You got to love on them, and be the person that's loving on them the most, and that's who they're going to choose, right? That's my firm belief.
That's exactly right. And when you think about from a local standpoint, you're in the best position to do that. I mean, anyone that's listening in the sound of my voice right now should be able to out recruit me in any city where you live, because you're there. And I overcome the objection when I get it. Oh, but Knolly, you're not local. I overcome the objection. But I really don't stand a chance against someone local that they can feel is in their, in their city, in their town, that cares about them. Okay. And not just for the agent attraction piece of it. Okay. Although that's going to be a big piece of it, there's nothing wrong with a quid pro quo. Okay. There's nothing wrong with a win-win. Okay. So the reality is I made up my mind a long time ago, Shannon. This was, and here's the thing, because of my personality profile, I want people to like me. That's why I have, over 200 5-star reviews. I provide excellence, dude. I provide excellence, but it's not so much because I just want to provide excellence. It's just because I have a fear of people not liking me. Like I want to be liked. Okay. That's my profile. So I'm like, man, I don't want to be talking to people about EXP. They're not going to like me. They're not going to like me anymore. I'm that pesty guy. Well, or the pesky gal. Well, here's the thing. I made up my mind a long time ago that people were either going to be upset with me, that I shared EXP with them, or they're going to be upset with me that I never shared it with them. Because once they find out about it, they're going to be like, man, you never told me about this. I had a Thanksgiving dinner last week, and I hate to, I don't want to pick on him. I love him, Gene Frederick. Okay, we had Thanksgiving dinner at his house, and his wife and I are dear friends of mine. We were very good friends at Keller Williams. Okay, I remember one year we went. He flew a group in from, I think we were in Dallas or New Orleans somewhere. He flew in a disco band to play at, when we were both at Keller Williams together, and he was a team leader, and he flew this disco band to play at family reunion. And I got pictures with me and Gene in our disco outfits, just tearing it up, like we go back. But when he joined EXP, he never reached out to me. And so I even was sharing with him on Thanksgiving Day. I was like, man, he says, I know, Knolly. I said, I just, you never reached out to me, dude. Like, I felt hurt. Like, I wasn't like desired. You didn't want me, and I'm thinking, like, think about it. I was like, man, when did you come over, Gene? He said, I came over in, I think it was 2015. He told me something like that. 2016. I think it was 2016.
It was 15.
And I was 15. Okay. So, and I'm thinking, man, now I probably wouldn't have joined, my gate probably wouldn't have been open, but the idea of that, he didn't even reach out. So in my mind, I think people are going to feel that way more than, and they might be upset with me, but I know 3, 4, 5 years from now, they're going to say, Teresa, Steve, Doug, this is what you were trying to tell me. I didn't realize, so I'm good with it, man.
Exactly. No, and you're right. I mean, I've got a lady that's on here right now, Lori Davis. She's in control of our Montana team, and she's built Montana into this big powerhouse. And but we knew each other in Ohio. We worked in Ohio together, and I reached out to her. I don't know, like 3 or 4 days after I joined EXP, right? And she goes, why haven't you told me about this earlier? And I'm like, you're the first person I called. Are you kidding me? I just got the guts up to call you, right?
Sure.
So, I mean, it's, so you're right. I mean, here's the thing, people are hurting, but they don't know they're hurting, right? They have a need that they don't know they have. Okay.
Sure.
And so what we've got to do is we've got to look at it from a different lens, I think, rather than being a recruiter, say, you know what, I've got something that has truly changed my life. And if I can truly change other people's lives, why in the world would I not share that with them? Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, even as a Christian, right, we share the good news, we share the gospel with other people because we have something we know that they need, but they don't know that they need it. Right? It's the same concept.
Absolutely.
Same concept. So
it's quite interesting to piggyback on that. A lot of people don't realize, I mean, Christ was many things, but one of the things people don't understand that he was a recruiter.
That's right.
He was a recruiter. Not only did he attract, yes, he attracted me, but he also recruited me. I remember back when, now I grew up the way I grew up. My mom had a master's degree in psychology. Okay. Psychology. She went and got her master's, but it was, she was like mommy dearest, man. She used her psychology degree to completely screw up my sister and I. Okay. She would beat us with anything she could find, extension cords. She would beat us with whips, whatever she could get her hands on. We got regular beatings. She would punch us, slap us. She would basically tell me, now I have the same name as my dad. I'm a junior, Knolly Alexander Williams Jr. That's my name. And my mom would make a point of telling me of how worthless I was and how I would never amount to anything because she hated my dad. And I had his name. I looked like him. I was a constant reminder of what made her upset. And I grew up like, man, there was something wrong with me. With that, man, I left home when I was 16 years old. And I ran the streets, man. I did that. I was homeless for 2 years. Okay. But Christ pursued me. And I remember very distinctly, man, I remember Like, what is it that you don't understand? I don't want anything to do with God. I remember one time, man, I was in the projects because I used to sell crack cocaine. This is back in the day now. Don't judge. This is, Paul had a crazy background too. And some of the other disciples were pretty crazy. But I remember one time we walked into a church, me and my buddies, and we always had a joint, man, rolled up, ready. And we would smoke joints. One time we would just be rolling joints in Burger King because we were on this thing like it should be legal. I don't care. We don't care about the law. We had no like we were reprobate, man. We were like lost, like totally. I was completely, totally lost. And when I moved into this house when I was 16 years old, by the way, I ran away from home. My mom never came to look for me. She was happy that I was gone. Okay. Now she's a lot nicer now. I've forgiven her. I love my mom. Okay. But back then she was just a bitter, angry person with a psychology degree. You know what I'm saying? She knew how to get to you. And so, so I remember, man, I walked into this church and I'm listening to the preacher and I'm in the back. And my buddy and I, man, we were just laughing and we're smoking weed inside the church, Shannon. I don't share this much. And I might lose some followers. That's cool. I'm just telling you how it happened. And I remember, man, about a week after that, I was making fun of God. I was like, man, that's dumb. That's stupid. You know, this Jesus guy, whatever. And I remember I was in a grocery store, my pants hanging down. I was a thug. I was a gangster. And this guy came up to me and he said, man, Jesus is calling you. Jesus want, and boom, boom, he was hitting me hard. I was like, man, I don't care nothing about no Jesus. And I played him off, but I got to thinking like, man, what's this guy? But he pursued me and I kept like, why are you bothering me? I don't want nothing to do with you. So he's a recruiter, man. I gave in eventually. He recruited me, 100%. But he's also an attractor. He also attracts. Okay. That's what keeps me. And he's also good in retention. He's in the retention game because I stay because it's good. It's all good, you know? And so when you start saying I'm not a recruiter, I mean, his favorite line was follow me. Mm-hmm. That's a recruiting script. I mean, you walk up to somebody and say, join EXP. That's gangster to me. I mean, that's a gangster move. Like he just said, follow me. You ain't giving no explanation. Where's the brochure? What am I signing up for? What's my benefit? What's my comp plan? Yeah. You ain't going to tell me nothing, you know? And so it's like, look, follow me, man. You know? Oh, well, what's it all about? What do I do? I'll explain later. We'll talk about it on the way. For now, I want you to quit your job and follow me. Boom. So the reality is, man, you can't be afraid to reach out to people because this is the best opportunity. And if it's not for them, they'll let you know. And it's okay. It's okay. You just move on.
Exactly. Wow, Knolly, you have dropped some serious nuggets today, man. This is incredible. And I didn't even know that about you. I got more respect for you now more than I ever have before, brother, because I too was on the streets for a while. And I wasn't a thug, right? But I was on the streets. I was living in my truck and man, I've been there, you know what I mean? And until somebody's been there, it's tough to relate, but man, now I even relate with you even better, brother. I love it.
Well, this is why, man, when it comes to the underdog, the one that society has given up on, that agent that nobody thinks is going to make it, I try to help people, man. I mean, I received help, dude. When I remember getting groceries, man, when I didn't have nothing to eat, I remember having a house foreclosed. I remember in the bankruptcy attorney's office and signing the paperwork to declare bankruptcy after my company failed in the music business. I've been down a lot, dude. And so I remember what it's like. And that's why I like to provide hope to people because, man, I mean, the other side is so nice. And the reality is the enemy, he don't want you to know that there's another side. He doesn't want you to know that there's a silver lining or that there's light at the end of the tunnel. But I guarantee you, It's really bright at the end of whatever the tunnel is that you might be going through. It's nice. It's
not
nice
a
on the other
train,
side.
right? It's not a train.
No. It's not exactly.
All right, so let's open this up now. We got about 10 minutes left. I will be respectful of your time and everyone else's. So let's open this up for questions. So anybody's got a question, if you want to, go ahead and unmute yourself, or actually raise your hand, and we'll call on you first. That would probably be the easiest thing. Just put your hand up so that everybody's not talking at the same time. Just virtually raise your hand or raise your hand where we can see it. And we'll call on you for sure. Looks like Emma has a question here, and then possibly Doug.
Hey, Knolly, great story.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Appreciate
All
that.
right. Hey,
I can hear you.
We got to talk Christian music because I'm writing. I play guitar. So,
Oh,
and
nice.
Shannon plays too. So I think we have to do a gig at a
drummer.
We got to be the EST band. And so
That'd be fun.
My question is, you said that you do 3 hours a day, and that's kind of me. I'm not selling real estate anymore. I'm retired. So my focus is just to do the agent attraction component.
Sure.
So
Sure.
boil that down for me. Like, what does that look like that you're doing within that 3 hours?
So there's basically, when you're working 3 hours a day, and this is the goal. This is where I teach people to get to. Okay. So you can't start out there. And I get that if you got to work your 8 hours or 10 hours, whatever you do, you should always have a 3 hour block within that. And the two things you should focus on, if we're not at Emma's level or where I'm at, is you want to be focusing on, number one, lead generation and appointments. Generate leads, go on appointments, so you spend 90 minutes doing your lead gen, 90 minutes is carved out for appointments, or you do 2 hours for lead generation, which is better, and an hour in the afternoon for appointments. Now, once you get to the level where Emma is, she's able to retire, she's able to goof off. No, just kidding, but have fun, right? Then what happens is your priorities will change. All right. So whether you have somebody running your team or however you have it set up at that point, you've gone 7th level, like Gary would say it. At that point, your priorities change. So then it becomes branding and leadership. Okay. Branding and leadership. What does that mean? That means that in the mornings, you're working on branding. And that's really another way for lead generation or marketing. And branding is really, or you could still be doing lead generation, Emma, if you could still do it from a core, reaching out, make a big list, reach out, watch the model explain with them, book them on a 3-way call. That's our system. Okay. It's a very simple system. So you could still be doing that, or you could also be doing branding. So you could be doing your YouTube channel, social media, podcasts, things like that, your blog, things that will lead toward attraction. So you're doing recruiting and attraction. Okay. And then you're doing leadership. So leadership is, as you're starting to grow your team, you start to identify leaders within your organization, and you start giving them roles within your organization. So like for me, right now I have 15 leaders in what I call my inner circle, okay, group. And that's anybody that's attracted 5 on their front line or more. Then I make them part of another group that's more intimate. And then I provide leadership to them. So that's essentially basically all you're doing is you're focusing on the 2 big picture items that will move the needle the most. Okay. And everything else you're delegating to someone else. Okay. And it just happens to be either you're doing, like I said, lead generation and appointments. Okay. Like let's just take it to a listing agent. If you're a listing agent, I don't care what you say, there's only 3 tasks that you should be doing. Only 3. You should be generating leads, going on appointments, and negotiating offers. Everything else in your business should not be done by you, period. And I have a 46-step listing system, and those are the only 3 things that I focus on a listing. And it's very similar when you think about the agent attraction side.
Spot on. And I agree with you about what you said about videos, because I'm there. I just have to start recording. So I appreciate what you said.
Sure.
The last thing I want to share with you, because I always love to give back, is I heard something yesterday that really changed my mindset. And that's a lot of people say, I've already talked to somebody about EXP. I'm not interested. And the whole statement is, I think Steve was on the call. They said, well, have you seen the 2023 business model of EXP? Well, of course they haven't, right? And
I
I'm
like
like,
that.
oh, that's a great nugget. Oh, the 2023 business model. Well, let me review that for you because there's so many things that have changed. Let me just ask a question. Are you still engaged with the person that talked to you about EXP? If so, get them to go back and show you the updated model. But also when if they're not interested, to let me know. But the second thing was, you say, well, did they dig down and tell me after they did the discovery call with you, how much above 100% did you see that you could have by joining EXP? Because they're going to go, what are you talking about? They probably didn't do it
Sure.
because I'm finding there's a
Absolutely.
lot of bad recruiters. So those
Sure.
two things, 2023 model, and let me just do a 2023 discovery call for you. It may not be what you want, but I'd love to show it to you because like you said, Knolly, they can't unsee it. So that's my tip for you for the day.
I
Exactly.
love it.
And to piggyback on that, Emma and Knolly, one of the things that I've been teaching our trailblazers here is, my famous phrase at the end of every call is something like this. It goes, hey, Emma, have you seen the 2023 presentation of the EXP model? But more importantly, has anyone ever tailored it based upon your production and your goals to help you reach over 100% commission and set you and your family up for retirement later on down the road? When you use that phrase, there's always, no, that's never happened. Right?
Right. Yeah. It's interesting because I was on a three-way call just last week with a gal, and she had just like Emma was saying, I think that's very, very important to ask, are you still in touch with? And she said, a lot of agents have shared EXP with me, but I've never, ever had the depth of understanding that you shared. And she went, and another guy that I did three-way call with also, he went from because I always ask on a scale of 1 to 10, after they watch the model, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 meaning you'll never join, I'm never going to join EXP, 10 meaning I'm ready to join today. Where would you say you are? And this guy said, I'm a 5. Oh, I had some work to do. But by the end of our three-way call, he was a 9.5. Okay. And he, what he told me? He says, send the paperwork. I'm like, dude, we don't have paperwork, but yeah, I get what you're saying. We'll get that. We'll send the paperwork. We'll mail it to you. How's that?
I think Doug had a question for us. Doug?
Hey, I wanted to just point out a question that Maria had, and I've personally been fortunate enough to have two very motivated frontline agents that are part of this call, Charla and Maria. But Maria has a question there about how to keep people motivated. So, Knolly, if you jump back in the chat, you'd see her question.
Yeah, I saw it.
She's showing them what to do, but they're not following. So, could you address that for us?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and thank you, Doug, for pointing that out, because I did see the question earlier, and I think it's a great question that Maria posed. So think about it this way. So the old saying that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't what?
Make it drink.
You all know. Yeah, you can't make them drink. But what I've learned is that you actually can make them thirsty. You can lead them to water. You can't make them drink, but you can make them thirsty. And you know how you do that? You throw salt in their mouth. Throw salt in their mouth. So what I do with my group is I'm constantly throwing salt in their mouth. And the way I do that, for example, I have my inner circle, and all you have to do is attract 5 to your front line, and you get to be part of my inner circle. You have direct access to me. Oh, you want a 15-minute one-on-one with me? That's only available in my inner circle. But you can chat with me, and we could do it that way. Oh, how do I get the inner circle? Oh, you don't know about that? Boom, I'm throwing salt in their mouth. So what I do is basically I create FOMO. So everything that my inner circle and I do, I basically broadcast it to the rest of the group, and I make them like, well, how come I'm not in inner circle? That's the same question I was wondering. How come you're not in here? You should be in here. And I'm creating that either FOMO or I'm just throwing salt in their mouth. I'm also constantly recognizing those that are doing well. So like yesterday, I was on my call. I said, "Hey, our organization sold 106 houses last month, and that was between 94 agents." And so I'm like, "Did you close one? Oh, you mean people are still selling houses? Yeah, 106 from my group got sold. So there's somebody still doing business. Oh, so maybe there's still a possibility that, yeah, throw salt in their mouth." So that's what you got to be thinking around. If you're trying to motivate people, because you can't really motivate anyone. We already know that. Motivation comes from within, right? You can meet them where they are, and then they can become motivated internally, and then they'll move toward the goal. But you got to throw salt in their mouth. That's very important.
I like that.
That helps. That gets them to drink.
I like that. That's good. I mean, because, prime example, we had 20 people on this call. There was over 200 that were invited. So 10% showed up.
Yeah.
So that's a prime example right there. 10%. And if you think about it, the 80-20 rule is now the 90-10 rule, right?
Sure. That's exactly right. You're exactly right about that. 90-10. 90-10. But the thing is, if you want to get them, create curiosity, and we do this all the time, you basically have a couple of clip snippets of what, they missed out on. You say, "Oh, you didn't get this. You missed out because we learned this, and that." Now you threw salt in their mouth. Now they want to go watch it. You see what I'm saying? So, and it's something we're all trained to do. We just have to be consciously doing it. Like that's what Emma said. She was like, "Hey, have you seen the 2023 model? Oh," she just threw salt in their mouth. "Now I'm thirsty again. Oh, wait, hold on a minute. My mouth is salivating. You got any water?" "Yeah, I got the water right here. It's 30 minutes, and I'll give you all the water you need on that 30-minute meeting with me."
Love it. I love it. All right. So guys, any final questions for Knolly while we've got him on here? I mean, this is just, this has been pure fire, Knolly. Absolutely. Any final questions? Anybody? Unmute yourself or raise your hand or whatever.
Hey, can you hear me? Shannon.
Yep, we got you.
Can you hear me?
Hey,
Okay,
Lori.
so
What's up, Lori?
I noticed you went through rebranding, with the business healing, and relaunched, and of course I get all the notifications for your videos on YouTube. So
Sure.
have you seen a big difference in your coaching side of the business when you did rebrand and you started to focus on that omni presence?
No, see no. The answer is no, I haven't.
No.
So the rebrand is about the whole purpose of the rebrand is, for me, it was because I'm a coach, I naturally have blind spots. Okay. We all have them, not just because I'm a coach, but you know how the saying goes that the cobbler's kids don't have shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how it goes with us as coaches and trainers. So I had blind spots. So I hired an agency to really look at my business and look at what is it that you really should be focused on. Like what value do you really bring to the marketplace? And as it turns out, my methodology, I'll give you the shortest version I can. So when I was going through this process, they call it discovery. So the discovery period is where you find out, who is it that the same stuff that we do as coaches for other people, they're doing it now to me. So during the discovery, I was always somewhere else. So they would be like, "Where are you at today?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm in San Francisco." The next week we had a call and I would be in, California, or I'd be, or I'd be in Florida, I'd be in Texas, or I'd be in Mexico. And finally they were like, "Man, what do you do?" And so I started explaining to them my process. Like I work 3 hours a day. I work from anywhere in the world. I do. So they, these coaches that I hired, and they coach Grant Cardone, they coach Mel Robbins, they coach a lot of Tim Story, a lot of people that are known, and they basically help me to rescript going forward. Because this is the question, Lori, that you want to ask when you get to a certain point and you're like, "Okay, I feel like I've done what I came here to do. I have 800 videos on YouTube. I kind of checked that box. What's next? Write that down. What's next for me? And some of you are going to find yourself at a point where you're going to ask that, like, what's next? And I didn't know what was next. And that's why I hired these people. And so what was next for me was to teach people how to do what I've done. How do you work 3 hours a day and still make, $500,000, $1 million, multiple millions a year from anywhere in the world, and so on. And so that's the rebrand of, for me. And so it wasn't really like I don't really do one-on-one coaching. I do very little, as little as possible. And what I try to do when I'm conscious about like what's next, what do I want to do over the next 5 to 7 to 10 years that will make a positive difference? And so they got me a book deal with McGraw-Hill, which is, it was beyond what I could ask for. I've already written the book, turned it into McGraw-Hill. I just got the edited version back today. It'll be in stores in July. Okay, so this is a long game. You see what I'm saying? July 2023. It's like a year after I wrote it, it'll be in stores. So when you think about rebranding yourself, this is not an immediate thing. This is like, how do I want to show up over the next 10 years, like 10 years from now? So most of what you see that I'm doing now is because I know that EXP is going to grow up to 500,000 to 1 million agents in the next 5 to 10 years. How can I position myself today to capture a large percentage, maybe not even a large percentage, a small percentage of those agents, within my organization? And so how can I bring the most value to the marketplace? That was the real underlying question for me.
Gotcha.
So it's not something that you're going to see typically. Now, sometimes you could do a rebrand and immediately see results, but my trajectory is very different. I don't really have any. People ask me, how much production are you doing? My last year in production, I did 153 deals. If you ask me today, how many deals I'm trying to do, as few as possible. I'm not at the place where I need to grow monetarily. Let me take that back. Okay, universe, I'm sorry, I should have said that. What I meant to say was I'm good. Okay, but I do want to provide the maximum value that I can during the time that God has given me. And so when you're at a point that Emma and I are at, you're pretty much like semi-retired. So you're basically like, okay, I'm going to just work a few hours a day. So what can I do to provide the most value that will actually be enjoyable for me? Mm-hmm. And so as it turns out, most of what I teach transcends real estate. And so this book that called, 3 hours a day is actually a book that is for any entrepreneur, any business leader or entrepreneur. And it's more in line with what brings me true and lasting happiness and joy as far as what I'm teaching, So, but it's a long play.
It's a long game. I'm going to be expecting an autographed copy of that, my brother.
You bet. Next year sometime. Hopefully they might release it early. We'll see.
That's awesome.
Hello, Shannon. I have a question.
Sure.
Knolly, when you first, I've been to other agencies here and I moved over to EXP almost 4 years ago. So the agents that I worked with before, I've sent them all emails, and I do that like once every 6 months. I noticed a couple of them joined EXP, but not under me, and shame on me. But what would you do? What would the first thing you would do to reach out to them besides having lunch with them or talking to them about EXP?
Well, you're talking about the ones that, not the ones that have already joined EXP. You're talking about the ones that haven't joined, right?
That's correct. And I worked with them at other offices like Remax, Century 21.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, it's the 4 simple steps. Okay. This is what Brent Gove teaches. Number 1, you make a big list. Okay. And I have this on, I know what they are by heart, but I have it written down so I can always be cognizant and have it in front of me. So number 1, you make a big list. Number 2, you reach out. Number 3, you watch the model explained with them, not send them the video. And then you book them on a 3-way call with your, someone in your upline. So that's really the 4-step model that's going to create results. And if you want to, you can add on to that inviting them to events, obviously, and follow up. You have to follow up with people. I mean, in order to recruit 160 people, I did the math on it. I had conversations with 3 times that many. I mean, I talked to a ton of people, and it's outside my nature to cold call people or to talk to them that, like that. But I knew the power of what, I wanted to create. And so I was able to transcend my fear around doing the work, So if they join somebody, because they're all coming, okay, they're all coming. If they join someone else, it's just like, why did that person list with another agent and not me? And I mean, when I went on a listing appointment, I was very competitive. So over 90% of the time I got the listing. I could go up against my broker, which I've done multiple times at Remax. And this guy had 40 years experience. I'm still going to walk away with the listing. I'm getting it. Okay. And at full commission. And it's just that my value proposition, see, if you're losing people, then the most likely reason is that you're not articulating your value prop. They don't understand well enough the benefit of joining you or doing, and so you might just be, if you're recruiting and just like throwing grenades over the wall and hoping that, it'll hit something, then, or you sucker punch them and then you duck, you have to follow up. You got to continually follow up with people. And then you have to articulate your value proposition. Like, what is it that you offer that is going to be a value prop for them to join you, to partner with you? Because otherwise, all you might be doing is stimulating their curiosity around EXP. And then they find out all about it. And then they join with XYZ, someone else. They don't see the benefit of why they should join with you. So you have to really, I had a 10-week training with my Knolly coaching club. I do a group coaching program also. And I had a 10-week program where all I did was teach how to articulate your value proposition so that when people understand what you bring to the table, there's no other choice but to join with you. Like, they wouldn't even be thinking about anybody else. So it's really important.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
That's incredible. Well, guys, we're about 15 minutes over. So respectful of Knolly. Man, I can't tell you how much I love you, brother. I mean, you are a brother from another mother. We know that. I mean, we're kids.
I'm used to staying after class now. You just ask my teachers.
I love it. I love it. But hey, man, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate you, brother. Man, this was just incredible stuff. I can't thank you enough.
I got to say, Shannon, you made it fun and easy. Thank you, Steve. You made it fun and easy because it was just a conversation, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome, brother. You're welcome. That's how we roll, man. That's how we roll.
All right. If we don't talk again, have a beautiful holiday.
Get to these events, right? If you want to meet Knolly in person, get to these events. I will introduce you, right? I mean, if you're not going to the events, you're missing out.
Yeah. Oh, also, a couple things. I did put in the chat a site that I put together for my group, for my RevShare group. And I got convinced by many of our cousins in the EXP tree to share. So I've made that an open thing of all my best training, or the best training that I like about agent attraction. So it's right there in the chat. Make sure you check out that page. It shows the scripts that I like, the videos I use, the system that I follow, everything's right there. And that's just a gift to you. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have a whole agent attraction playlist. Okay. And so you can geek out on that, have lots of fun, because there's always more to the story. And if you want to find out all things Knolly related, just go to knolly.com, KNOLLY.com. And I've got tons of stuff there as well that you can R&D, rip off and duplicate.
All I do, baby. That's all I do. Awesome. Knolly, again, thank you, brother. Love you. If I don't talk to you, have a Merry Christmas. All right.
You as well. Love you. Thank you. Bye-bye.